There comes a moment on the inner journey when a question arises that cannot be ignored. If all the paths of those who came before converge in me, and if I am now walking forward, where do all paths truly lead? At first, the answer feels abstract. Every road, no matter how distant or opposed, eventually turns inward. The outer search exhausts itself, and what remains is the same realization for all. The answer to every question collapses into a single certainty. I am. This is why all paths, however different they appear, return to the same center. Not to a place, but to a recognition. And the body knows this long before the mind does. The information of the path is not stored in ideas, but in movement, in the feet, in what has been walked, endured, crossed, escaped, and returned from. Ancient traditions understood this. Initiation was not granted by words or titles, but by cleansing the feet, by acknowledging that a long road had been traveled, that tests had been overcome, and that a new way of walking was now possible. To wash the feet was not submission, it was transition, because there are two ways by which a human inherits life. One is biological, the family tree. Countless fine roots draw nutrients from the depths of time. They converge into thicker roots, then into a trunk, the present individual. And from there branch outward again into futures yet to come. Past and future are not separate beings. They are the same living organism expressed across time. Ancestors are not behind you. Descendants are not ahead of you. They are you, in different expressions. A conflict in the roots echoes throughout the entire tree. Healing does not mean cutting them away. It means restoring function, so that nourishment may flow again. But there is another inheritance, more subtle and more misunderstood. The energetic path. What is often called the soul is not an object, nor an identity, but movement itself. Energy in motion. The same force that animates animals, plants, ecosystems, and stars. Energy does not belong to one body. It circulates, it transforms, it crosses forms, families, species, and dimensions. What people call past lives are not personal histories, but energetic continuities recorded in light and motion. Biology and energy are not separate paths. They are symbiotic. Together, they form life, and life is already eternal. The illusion of mortality arises from perspective, from identifying with the ego as the whole, instead of recognizing it as a tool. Just as a cell cannot comprehend the body it belongs to, the ego cannot comprehend the totality of the I am. The problem begins when humans ask, what is my mission? What is my purpose? Because this question assumes something false, that purpose exists independently of choice. In truth, there is no inherent purpose. This realization is terrifying, because the human mind is structured around objectives. From birth onward, life is framed as a sequence of goals: to grow, to learn, to achieve, to become. Purpose gives meaning to suffering. It justifies pain. It promises reward. Remove it, and the structure collapses. And yet, this collapse is necessary. Early life operates on impulse and reaction: to find food, to survive, and to adapt, to reproduce. Culture transforms these needs into missions, and missions into purposes. But at a certain point, consciousness emerges. and consciousness no longer reacts. It chooses. The moment choice appears, destiny dissolves. What was once reaction becomes action. What was once repetition becomes creation. Purpose is no longer discovered. It is constructed. This is where many stumble. When the idea of purpose disappears, a void opens. And the first emotion that appears is meaninglessness. Some experience despair. Some lose the will to continue. Some believe nothing they do matters. But this void is not emptiness. It is freedom. The pain does not come from the absence of purpose, but from the death of expectations. Much of what humans do for others is driven by the need for recognition, to be seen, to belong, to be told at the end, you did well. When that imagined witness disappears, the question becomes unavoidable. Would I still walk this path if no one ever acknowledged it? When the answer becomes yes, something shifts. Action is no longer driven by destiny, obligation, or reward. It is driven by choice. And choice is creation. This is the moment when the individual stops repeating ancestral patterns unconsciously and begins to redefine them consciously, not by rejecting the past, but by releasing the emotional weight placed upon it. The belief that this is my destiny dissolves, and in its place arises a quieter truth. I am the one who walks. To wash the feet, then, is to release the expectation that they will carry you toward a predetermined plan. It is to grieve the old self that waited for permission, guidance, or validation, and then step by step to walk anew, unled, uncommanded, unbound. When consciousness takes the lead, the path is no longer inherited, it is authored, and in that moment, the realization becomes complete. You are not walking the path. You are the path.